Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Legend of Korra video. We're still here in Animal Crossing. Yep, nothing's changed. I don't intend to get angry or yelly during this. You never know what's gonna happen, right? Like anything could happen. So I just want to make that clear. I also do want to say that over on the stream, somebody created me a Discord to keep in touch, or I don't know, whatever people do on Discord. And there's now a link to that in the description. So if you're at all interested in checking that out, and I don't know, right now it's set up for games, but I could totally do other stuff in it. I don't know, it all depends. But yeah, if you're at all curious about that, link in the description, go check it out. Who knows, maybe there'll be something that interests you. Who knows? Who knows? But with that, let's actually talk about The Legend of Korra, Book 2, Spirits. So, in the previous video, I talked about how The Legend of Korra, Book 2, was kind of the thing that killed the show for me. I remember seeing Book 2 at the time, and well, yeah, no, it didn't go that well. It did not go that well. Season 1 I thought was fine. Like, I enjoyed season 1, right? I thought it was fine. It worked. Book 2 just didn't. And I remember it being terrible. Like, absolutely soul-destroyingly terrible. And then when I rewatched it at some point, like a few years later, I don't remember. When I later on went on to watch seasons 3 and 4, when I did that, I also rewatched seasons 1 and 2, and I still enjoyed them, and I still enjoyed season 1. But season 2, yeah, no, I didn't hate it. I was expecting to hate it, and I just didn't. I guess that's how it is. Like, I thought this was just terrible, especially coming off of the original 3 seasons of Avatar, then going directly into the first season of Korra that I thought was good, and then just this was just like, in comparison, it's, oh god, I just remember it being the worst thing. Going back and rewatching it back then, this was like 3 years ago or so. I don't know. I don't remember when I think the Switch was out by this point, so that's why I'm saying 3 years ago. I could be wrong about that. No, let's go with 3 years ago when I watched all 3, after like years of not watching the original, which again, that could even be wrong in and of itself. But I remember it not being that bad. And now here I am rewatching it for the 3rd time. And while it is slower and it does have a lot of problems and a lot of shit that doesn't make any sense, nah, it's not that bad. I like there are some moments where I'm just like, oh, kill me. Right, this is the worst. The love triangle stuff. But I don't think it's that bad. I've seen so many other shows and so much other bullshit that in comparison, no, this just ain't that bad. Like, is it easily out of the 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons that have to do with Avatar? Is this the worst? Yes. So I should also say that. So when I recorded the season 1 video, I had just finished watching season 2. When I'm recording this video, I have already finished season 3, but I have not started season 4. I guess that's important to give my thoughts on this. And I'm sure we'll talk about season 3/4 in the future. I don't know. I'd love to get it all talked about before the 10-year anniversary. I would love to get that done. Is that going to happen? No. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, no, I don't hate it. I was going into this expecting to just hate it and think, oh my god, this show is terrible. Like, I knew to be more like fixate. Like, I knew that it wasn't actually that bad. But yeah, no, it's just not that bad. It really isn't. Like, at all. So let's start off. So it's it's book 2 spirits. I still think that Korra shouldn't have gotten her bending back at the end of the last season. That I think the idea of this season that Korra doesn't have her bending and she's going to have to reconnect with her spiritual side and with the past avatars to get her bending back, even if it happened like very early on in the season, I still would have been fine with that. Like, even if it happened like within like the first like 2 or 3 episodes, I'd have been like, yeah, no, that works, right? Like, I don't need her to not have it the entire season. But I just kind of wish she didn't have it, because I think that's more interesting. But there's only so much you can do. And she has it, so whatever, we'll work with it. But I do, so, right, so we see all these characters like in their new positions and what they're doing, how Asami's company is on the verge of bankruptcy because of what her father did. Bolin's running the Fire Ferrets, but it's not really going well because Korra and Mako are off doing their own thing. Mako's a police chief, a police rookie. He wants to be a detective, but it's not going very well. And yeah. And then Korra's off. She's still training airbending and whatnot. That's kind of where we left off. I think it's been like 6 months since then. I don't know. It's all logical places for them to be at. And they're all going up south to visit Korra's father and participate in like this Southern Water Tribe festival that's supposed to be about like the spirits or whatnot. And you find out that, oh, guess what? Korra has an uncle who's kind of evil. And right off the bat, like, you immediately know this guy is evil. So in the last Korra video, I think the one name mistake I made, besides for forgetting Milo's name, was I called Noatok Unalak at some point. I think that was the one big name mistake I made. But yeah, so it's Unalak, and he's the big villain. He's the head of the Northern Water Tribe, because of course Korra's dad was supposed to be chief of the Northern Water Tribe, but then shenanigans ensued, and oh, what really happened, blah blah blah, controversy, blah blah blah. So yeah, so there's all this controversy stuff. Unalak's just not an interesting villain. I don't want to get too much into it right off the bat, but I just don't like Unalak. He's got nothing going for him. I think the idea of like a very spiritual villain is kind of like an interesting twist, because right off the bat, we're like, yes, Korra has all her bending back, but she immediately comes to foes with a dark spirit. And the dark spirit is someone she cannot defeat with her bending. So Unalak comes in and is able to defeat the dark spirit with his like spiritual water bending. And that's interesting, right? Because, right, a big threat could have been that, oh, Korra doesn't have her bending. How is she going to fight back? How is she going to save the world? So the big thing in this season is you have the spirits. And the spirits can't be easily defeated. That makes sense, right? That's right. You want to up the stakes. At no point do I feel like Korra really regressed. Like, I do feel like this is a natural progression for Korra. She's not back at point zero. Now that I'm thinking about it, you know what? So when people shit on this show, one of the points I always see them bring up is how Korra uses the avatar state to win a game. Whenever people are like, Korra's a bad character, which I've called her a vice in the past. I mean, she doesn't care about drinking, but yeah, no, I still call her a vice. She's very brash and quick to emotion and strong emotion at that. But I don't mind Korra using the avatar state to win a game. It's a single scene. It happens for a quick. It's a single moment. I don't think it's that big of a deal. That's one of those moments that I always see people harp on, that, oh, Korra's such a bad avatar. She abused her power and used the avatar state to win a game. Yet it's not that big of a fucking deal. I could see other avatars doing that. You know what? Fuck it. Sure, I can totally see another avatar using the avatar state to win a game or to cheat or whatever. It seems kind of mean, but I can see it, right? And I have no problem with Korra doing that. It happens for a moment, and it's as quickly forgotten about as it is brought up. I don't know why people harp on that so much. That's not as strong evidence as people think it is. They act like it's this big fucking deal, and I don't think it is. Especially with what happens later, because even though this whole thing is about how Korra is more connected to the spirit, right? This is about spirits. And yeah, she's abusing her spirit powers, but she also learns a fucking lesson later on in the season. She doesn't like abuse the avatar state at any other point in the season because she actually learns and grows from it. And a lot of people just don't talk about it. It's annoying. But yeah, so she gets in a fight with Tenzin, which is also a very natural thing because Unalaq was able to stop the dark spirit, but why couldn't Tenzin? Tenzin's supposed to be the spiritual master. Blah, blah, blah. Argument ensues. And yeah, she decides to train under Unalaq. Now, we don't actually see any of her training with Unalaq. Like they say it happens, but we don't actually like see any of it. Because like 1 second she's like she tries to like spirit bend with the water, a dark spirit at some point, and fails. And then like she does, and then like a few episodes later she does it again, and she's a lot better at it. And I think she's actually able to do it. And I could see that being like, oh well, actually I think she fails I think she gets it on her third try. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I can see people complaining about that, but they do explain it. We never see it, but she is definitely training, right? Like they imply that between all the stuff we do see of Korra and Unalaq, that they are spiritually training. Because Korra, of course, implicitly trusts Unalaq, that she needs that with these dark spirits showing up, she needs someone to guide her, and Unalaq knows the way of the spirit. And his whole thing is that, oh, the Southern Water Tribe isn't connected with the spirits because of the massacre that happened during the 100 Years' War. The Southern Water Tribe has lost their connection with the spirits, so he wants to bring it back, or at least that's his original intention anyways. I mean, it makes sense, especially in a world where spirits and shit like this exists. I get where Unalaq's coming from in theory. And of course he does the big thing, oh, look at all this modern stuff in the modern world. Look how you people have this festival was supposed to be our time to honor the spirits, but look at you, you're just celebrating it with materialistic, capitalistic obsessions. Oh my god, you're all so terrible. I mean, he's the villain, so he's allowed to be pretentious. But fuck him, right? Like there's not, like, yes, Korra trusts him. Which, yeah, she's a fool to trust him. But again, she grows. She realizes she's a fool to trust him. And she learns it, like, within, like, the first, like, 4 episodes. She learns it pretty quick. But yeah, no, he's just an asshole who's, like, he's trying to get the Avatar on his side. Like, he knows he needs the Avatar to do what he's going to do. And they journey to the South Pole because his whole thing to get the Southern Water Tribe more connected with the spirits is to go to the South Pole and open a portal to the spirit world. Because there's a portal to the spirit world at both the North and the South Pole. And there's also like how there's the Northern Lights, there's the Southern Lights, but because the South has lost connection to the spirits, they don't have them anymore. I actually think that's kind of a neat detail. Like I think I actually kind of like that. Well, I think Unalaq is generic and boring. I don't know. There's still some interesting stuff in the season. Like, I think the whole thing with the spirit world is very interesting. Her opening the portal to the spirit world. And she has her, well, they go out there, they head to the South Pole, and her dad comes along and they get in a fight. And this is where we learn that, oh, the dad pissed off the spirits in the North, and that's why he was banished. And he was actually supposed to be the tribe leader. It's contrived. Yes, very much it is contrived. Like, I don't know if that's necessary. I mean, at a later point, they'll point out that, oh, Unalaq's probably he's really jealous of his brother because his brother would have been in charge of the tribe. But he's also jealous that his brother's kid is the Avatar. Because, yeah, Unalaq also has 2 kids. Eska and Desna, the twins. And I think they're a lot of fun. I actually do like Eska and Desna. Who is Eska voiced by Aubrey Plaza? I was looking up something and I was like, oh wow, Eska's voiced by Aubrey Plaza. And then the girl in the 4th season is voiced by Zelda Williams. I had no idea. I had no idea. That's actually really cool. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Don't at me. We'll talk about it in season 4. But yeah, I think Eska and Desna are pretty funny, and Eska has a thing with Bolin, and she's like, oh well, when you're sad, right, that makes me happy, and they kind of have this weird relationship dynamic. And for as much as I hate the relationship stuff in this season, and we'll get to it when they get back to Republic City in like a few episodes, but I like Bolin and Eska. I think they're really funny, and like a lot of shit that goes on with them I think is really funny as well. But yeah, Korra's able to get to the South Pole, open up the southern portal, blue beam to space. It's technically not that big of a deal. It's not like they're trying to stop the big blue beam from space, so it doesn't really bother me personally. And then they head back to the Southern Water Tribe, and hey, guess what? Unalox, again, he's a super villain, and Korra still trusts him implicitly. So when they show back up, he blocks up the harbor, and his armies have invaded the South, and now tensions between the North and South are rising, but Korra can't do anything because she's supposed to be the peace bringer. And if she creates conflict between the two worlds, and between the North and the South, it'll all go to shit. It's kind of like, you know what? I get the idea that the Avatar is supposed to be like, oh, the peacekeeper, right? The bridge between man and spirit. If she picks the North or the South, it'll anger the spirits or whatever the fuck. I'm actually in like 2 episodes, she picks a side after Civil Wars 1 and 2. She actually just picks the Southern Water Tribe, and I'm like, you know what? Good. Because, yeah, I mean, sometimes there's just... Korra is a vice character. She acts on emotion. So, you know what? I'm just glad she picks a side. I'm glad they don't like, oh, should I support the North? Well, I want to support my dad because of the South, but I don't want... But, right, the Republic wants me to be neutral. The world says I should be neutral as the Avatar. Nah, fuck it. Support your dad and support the South. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's a detail that I kind of like. Oh, also, Tenzin, right after what happens with Tenzin, he wants to like go and visit all the different air temples. So him, his kids, and his wife, and then also his brother and sister Boomy, his brother Boomy, and his sister Kaya also go with him. Yeah, I like Tenzin, and I like seeing Aang's other kids. We'll get back to that in a moment, because does that all happen while Civil War's going on? I think it does. Holy shit. So Civil War happens, and by this point we've also already met Varric, who's helping out Asami with her whole problem. There's a lot of shit going on in this season, because every character has their own little arc, and you have Korra doing her stuff, and you got Tenzin doing him stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that does not help this season at all. But yeah, so we get introduced to Varric. Now, Varric is someone I actually really like. I think Varric is, even in this season, I think Varric is super funny. He's super energetic. He's just fun to watch. Him and, I always called her Julie, but I think it's actually Zuli, like Julie. Like ZHU or something like that, but I've always just called her Julie. I don't know. Whatever I said was probably correct. Zuli or whatever, Julie, whatever, ZHU. They're both really funny. Varric is hilarious. The assist Zuli is great. It's just a good time. They're fun characters, and I know they come back in later seasons, and I'm so glad, because Varric is easily the best part of this season, especially with what he'll do in a bit. But he wants to basically start a civil war. He wants to rise up against the North and take them out. And he's of course asked Korra for help. He asks Korra's father for help, and they're kind of like, Korra's father is more on board with it, but Korra definitely isn't, because she's just trying to keep the peace, right? Unalaq's totally controlling her at this point. But it's not really going well. And at one point, they kidnap Unalaq, and Korra stops it, thinking her father did it. But nope, her father didn't do it, and she's super happy. And she makes up with her father for a minute, until then Unalaq comes in and arrests her parents. Yeah, because he's a supervillain. What else did you expect? Unalaq just I get his motivation right now is just to like keep Korra on his side, but but he's also very not stubborn. He like hates his brother and he just wants to get rid of his brother, even though if he had just ignored his brother, like honestly, a lot of the Unalaq wants complete control, right? That's his big thing. He wants complete control. But if he had just scaled back his plan, he probably could have won, right? If he hadn't invaded the north, or the south, I mean, he could have easily taken Korra to the north, right? She wouldn't have argued with it. He could have easily taken Korra to the north and won. He keeps going too far, and you may say, well, oh, that's his big villain flaw, right? This is like a Shakespearean play where you have the villain who has one fatal flaw, right? Like, oh, you have the character who is pious or whatnot. Whatever. No, that's not. I mean, yes, Unalaq's big flaw is that he's power hungry, but he just keeps doing stupid shit. If he had just left Korra's father alone, Korra easily would, even if whatever happens, Korra still would have gone with him, opened the northern portal, and then he could have freed Vati? Is it Vati? I know Vati is the wind mage in Minish Cap. It's Rava and Vati. Right, he could have easily won there, but he's a prideful chode who just wants complete control, even though he could totally take complete control by becoming the Dark Avatar. He's a dumbass is what I'm getting at. He's just so boring. Like, yes, his motivation is power. Oh, woo, that's super interesting, because that's it. His motive, like, Amon, for all the problems I have with Amon, I still think Amon is an interesting villain, because he's the whole benders versus non-benders. That's really interesting. That's really compelling. And even though Amon's a liar, right, I do believe when Tarlok says that, oh, Amon blames everything wrong in the world on bending. Sure, he's a bender, but I do believe when he says that, oh, everything wrong in the world is bending, right? I get that, even though I think it all falls apart in the end. Unalaq doesn't have anything like that going for him. He's just evil. That's it. He's generic evil. I don't care for Unalaq at all. He's so boring. And his Eska has more interesting stuff going on with her, and she's I don't know, she's in it a little bit, but not really that much. It's just kind of boring. After the father gets arrested, they go on trial. The mother gets acquitted, but they're going to kill the father, but they don't kill but Korra convinces Unalaq to stop that, because even though if she had just let the father go, Korra would have been happy to work with him still, because he's a prideful chode, that Unalaq. But Korra eventually finds out that no, the whole arresting the father was rigged. The judge was rigged because Unalaq hates his brother, so now he wants to get rid of him. So Korra busts his dad out, or goes to bust her dad out of jail with the help of Mako and Asami, but they fail because he's already gone, but they go catch up with him anyways, and they escape with the help of Varric. And Bolin's also about to get married to Eska, but he runs away because Eska's very controlling. I still, for all the problems I have with the love triangle stuff, I think the stuff with Eska is really funny. Eska and Bolin, I think, is genuinely really funny. But then there's Korra, Mako, and Asami. And, the love triangle stuff in the first season was not great, but it never I remember it being way worse. It never got that bad. I really don't think it did. Here, no, like they dial that shit up to 11. Like immediately, Korra and Mako are fighting. Like I think that's the first scene they have together is them fighting because Korra asks Mako for advice or something along those lines, and he's like, "Oh, you're the Avatar. Trust your gut. Do what you want." And he's like, and Korra's like, "No, that's not helping. I want advice." Or Korra's constantly thinking that Mako is taking somebody else's side. That, oh, he's working with Tenzin or he's working with Varric or the president, even though he does totally betray her and he totally deserves to be dumped. Because fuck Mako. Mako, whatever. Fuck him. But no, it's the love, right? Just like immediately they're bicker until they break up in episode 5. They're just constantly bickering. And I'm glad they break up. Ah, God, but it's terrible. But yeah, they escape. They go rescue the father. The father says he's going to stall Unalaq. And Korra heads back to Republic City to get help from the president of Republic City. Right, Varric joins them. And then there's Tenzin's whole subplot where he goes and argues with his brother and sister because Iki goes missing. And it's at this point we find out that Aang was a bad father, that he loved Tenzin more than he did Bumi or Kaya. And people fucking hate this because of course they do. They hate everything in this show because it's not Avatar. And hey, Aang was this great guy. So the idea that he was a bad father, just right, people just can't accept that, and that ruins the show for them. And I'm not saying if that kills the show for you, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think it's more complicated than that. I really do, because I don't think Aang is a bad father. It's complicated. Tenzin was the only one of his 3 kids to be an airbender. So of course he gave a lot more attention to Tenzin because Aang was the last airbender. Now there's another one. An entire tradition of airbending has to be passed on through just Tenzin. He's got the weight of the entire air nomads on his shoulder. And in the process of passing all that down, he kind of put more time into Tenzin than he did his other kids. And if you watch the episode, while yes, Tenzin gets more preferential treatment from his father than the Bumi and Kaya did, I don't get the feeling that Aang didn't love his other kids. Yes, Tenzin was his favorite. Kyle was probably Katara's favorite. They never say it, but I bet that's true. Yes, I get where the problem is, and I get why people don't like it. I personally don't think it's that right. I get why Tenzin became the favorite. That he was carrying on the entire air nomad tradition on his own, and I get why it happened, right? I think it makes sense. I know it's like what happened with Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. That when we found out Luke wasn't on the ancient Jedi island learning how to use the Force in new and experimental ways to pull star destroyers out of the sky and take down the First Order, but instead became a hermit like his master before him, that pissed a lot of people off. But personally, I thought it was the only logical conclusion for where to take Luke Skywalker. And while I don't think this is the only logical conclusion to take Aang and how he treated his kids, I think it all tracks in my opinion. I think it makes perfect sense. And at no point do I get the feeling Aang doesn't love his other kids. He does also care about them. It's just Tenzin's got the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. And you do definitely feel that in this. You do feel, right, you get how he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. And we'll get into it in the 3rd season, but it definitely comes back again. This isn't the end of this. And I presume it comes back in the 3rd season as well, or in the 4th season. But I know here in the 3rd season, we definitely spend a lot of time with Tenzin. And right, we see the weight of the world on his shoulders. I think people dig way too much into this. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say. A problem? Yes. Ruining the show and besmirching the name of the original Avatar: The Last Airbender? No. But what do I know? What do I know? So back with Korra and Mako, they're still fighting. Korra wants to get the president of Republic City on her side, but he's an asshole because, yeah, he's an I mean, like, he doesn't want to get involved because, oh, he needs to protect Republic City, and he also only cares about his publicity. I'm not going to say the president of Republic City is a villain. He's more of like a barrier. Like, you know what I'm thinking of? Fucking Alien X from Ben 10, where in Ben 10, Alien X was like this super powerful thing that could literally like do godlike stuff. But because you needed the council's vote to do anything, it was almost impossible. That's kind of what this reminds me of, is that he kind of needs public approval to do anything. And even once he gets it, he still does nothing because he believes protecting Republic City is more important. He's just an obstacle that really, like, I get why he's there. He just they don't really do anything with it, except for when I think it's later in this same episode, Mako, like, he goes to visit Chief Beifong, and Mako rats out Korra to him because Korra wants to go talk to General Iroh, who's like totally willing to work with her, but Mako rats him out and they have this big breakup, and I'm just like, oh, thank God. Like, watching it, I was like, oh, thank God it's over. Korra and Mako fighting, oh, thank God it's over. It wasn't over. If it was just this, if it was just Korra and Mako fighting for the first like 5 episodes, realizing they're not compatible and breaking up, you know what? I'd be fine with it. I'd be like, you know what? That's bad, but it's not too bad. That's fine. But it's gonna come back, and Asami comes back into it, and like, does the love triangle stuff ruin the show for me? No. Is it as annoying as fuck sometimes? Especially something that happens because Korra leaves Republic City to go get help from Fire Lord Zuko, former Fire Lord Zuko. It's just, God, I'm but yeah, she leaves, and Asuka and Desna chase after her, and they fight, and yeah, it's a pretty, again, Asuka and Desna are cool. It's a pretty decent fight, but Korra gets defeated. A dark spirit shows up and eats Korra, so she's out of the picture. Meanwhile, Asami gets a deal with Varric, but her ships keep getting stolen. So actually, while I was rewatching the show, the first time I watched, when I was watching it for this rewatch, I accidentally skipped over episode 5, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Am I missing something? Did something just happen? And I realized I missed an episode. Oops. Funny. But yeah, so that leads us into the Sting. Because Asami keeps losing ships. They keep getting hijacked by Northern Water Tribe. The president won't do anything, so she tries to like set up a Sting with her and Mako. Again, the relationship's insufferable because now that Korra and Mako are broken up, now Asami and Mako can get back together. Woo, whoopee. And they hired the triple threats to help them out, but as it turns out, no, the triple threats have also been robbed, have also been paid off, and the whole thing's a setup. Okay, this thing really goes nowheres. Like, a lot of it just okay, it's just spending time with Mako and Asami. I mean, I still think Asami's cool, but I'm just so tired of Mako. I'm just so fucking tired. Meanwhile, Bolin's off in his own fun adventures and actually doing the good stuff in the show because he's hanging out with Varric. And I mean, yes, Varric's also involved in Mako and Asami's plot. I think he even comes up with the idea of doing the Sting. But Bolin's off and he's he got a job with Varric doing movies. They're movers, and they're basically doing propaganda, because when it comes to the creation of any art, one of the first purpose of art is to represent reality. The second purpose of art is propaganda. And like, I don't, right, that's just how it is. I mean, freaking tons of people start off in propaganda. Of course, the obvious thing is Dr. Seuss. That's like what everyone thinks of. And I mean, if you go back far enough, there are some people, W.E.B. Du Bois, will claim that all art is propaganda. But yeah. But he's doing Nuktuk and Nuktuk, Hero of the South, who's fighting against the evil Unalaq, and it's all propaganda, but it's fun. Bolin's really funny, and while a lot of this season's fucking annoying, and Bolin even has his moments, like he's I found the stuff with Bolin and Eska really funny. The stuff with Bolin and I think her name's Ginger, I just find kind of like the romance there, I just find kind of annoying. But I think the actual thing of like making Bolin a movie star, I think is actually like a lot of fun. Like, that's really interesting. And then I don't know if it's in this episode. I think it's in this episode as well. After their sting fails, Mako goes to visit Bolin, because Bolin and Mako are also kind of drifting apart. Like, Bolin moves out and gets his own apartment at some point. He puts a hot tub in it. And that stuff I think is fine, right? Bolin and Mako have like drifting apart as Mako's working on the police and helping Asami. And Bolin's doing his thing and being a movie star. But he basically figures out, because the ships are being hijacked, but they're also like, there's explosives, and he figures out that the explosives are actually made by Varric, because at an earlier point back in the previous episode, the Southern Water Tribe emissary was like blown up, and they used a remote detonator, and I think it's in this episode that he figures out that Varric is behind it. I like that. I think Varric is super interesting. He's super funny, but I love this twist at the end of the episode where it's like, no, Varric actually is setting everything up. He's basically the villain for like this part, because Unalaq's off doing whatever the fuck, because Korra's not dealing with it. He's going into through the southern portal, trying to open the northern one, also presumably talking to Vati. Right, but so for this brief moment, Varric becomes the villain, and I think that's super interesting, because technically he wants the war, because he even tells Asami that like, oh, if you can't make money in a war, well then I guess you can't make money in anything. His whole ploy is to like set it up, because Asami's company goes bankrupt, because while the sting fails, her warehouse gets robbed and she loses everything, but Varric comes and bails her out and takes a controlling share of her company, because he's playing. It's kind of like there's that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme about how I'm playing all sides, so I'll always win. And even though Varric's not like helping out the North, he's definitely playing like both sides of the South in Republic City, because he definitely wants them to go to war. I think Varric's super interesting. He's a lot of fun. I genuinely enjoy Varric, and I think him, like this big twist of like him being the villain, is super interesting. It's one of the better things in the season. I really do enjoy Varric. But we go back to Korra, and she washes up on an island in the Fire Nation, and she's completely lost her memory. Korra goes into the water to try to get her memory back, and she has to connect with the first avatar. That's interesting. That's the first avatar. That's something I want to see. And I think it's done really well. This is a two-parter called Beginnings, and it's a completely different art style. Well, not completely different, but it uses a different art style. It focuses on the story of the original Avatar. It's super interesting. Even if all my problems with the second season, yeah, they're all problems. But for this brief moment, for these 2 episodes, all those problems are just forgotten. And for a moment, we can enjoy a really good 2-parter. Even if you don't like all the other stuff, and like even if you don't like Korra and have all the problems with the show, which I don't blame you, they're all still genuine problems. I do recommend watching these 2 episodes. The story of the first Avatar is just really good, really well done. So we learn about Avatar 1, the first Avatar, who's right, he's living on the back of lion turtles. He gets fire, he abuses the fire, tries to steal, gets caught, he gets to keep the fire, goes out and lives with the spirits. It's all just really well done. I like that the first Avatar wasn't a perfect person. He was kind of a thief. But you see that more nobler side of him. You get to see where this idea of like the Avatar came from. But I like that it's not all perfect. I like that he makes mistakes because he, after living with the spirits and learning to be a better person, he comes across the spirits of light and dark, Rava and Vatu, and he separates them, which they've been in like 1,000-year conflict, and he separates them right before Harmonic Convergence because, of course, big inciting incident that kicks off this whole thing. He goes around, he meets other people because people are all living on the backs of lion turtles, which I like that they brought the lion turtles back. That's cool because right, they were kind of Deus Ex Machina, but to learn that people actually used to live on the backs of lion turtles is super interesting. It's kind of like, right, we see this, right, we see this is a motif we see from time to time of like people, like the entire world being on the back of a turtle. I know what the fuck is Discworld, where it's like a turtle but there's elephants. I don't know, Discworld's confusing, but yeah, no, I like the first Avatar. I think the idea, right, this world, the spirits and humans living together is all super interesting. Rava, the light spirit, having this eternal struggle with the dark spirit. But no matter, even if one wins, the other never truly goes away because light always exists in dark and dark always exists in light. That's another good setup. Everything about these first episodes, the beginnings, works so well. I do question though. So as Vatu goes around and starts like corrupting things with her darkness, is his darkness. Why can't Rava go around and like corrupt things with light, or not corrupt, but you know what I mean, like heal things with the light? I don't know. I get it technically works, and dark is like always usually represented as this giant like unstoppable force because it's like the natural state of the world. I'm weirdly enough, I'm thinking of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't know. I don't get it, right? Like I'm sure somebody will make an explanation that, oh, right, that the dark is more powerful, blah blah blah, that he's going around corrupting everything and Rava can't stop him because they're no longer entwined because of what Juan did. Like, I get it, but I like him going to the other lion turtles. I like his idea that, hey, if you can't fight Vatu, then I'll help you, right? So let me help learn the other elements, and if I master all 4 elements, then maybe we'll be able to take him on Harmonic Convergence. Again, we go back to so Harmonic Convergence comes, and we go to the yin, the Tree of Time, and the 2 portals being yin and yang. It's a really good design. This entire thing is designed so well, but they have a fight, and Juan's not able to defeat Vatu, but he's able to use the power of Harmonic Convergence to fuse him and Rava, making him the first Avatar. And he's able to go into the Avatar state, use all 4 elements at once, which nobody can do. Like, Rava has to hold the elements, and they have to, like, he switches between them, but he's able to seal Vatu in the Tree of Time for 10,000 years. It's just so well done. These are fantastic episodes. I love them, man. It's totally worth, like, for all the problems the second season has, this part holds up completely. I enjoy it so much. It's worth it just to watch these 2 episodes. For all the gripes I've had about the second season and all the gripes we'll talk about, these 2 episodes are totally worth it. Oh God, I love it so much. But that leads us into the guide, because Korra realizes that, hey, right, so she knows what's going on. And I think it's at this point she basically figures out that Unalaq's plan is to release Vatu. I'm pretty sure that she I mean, definitely as an audience, like as someone watching it, this is basically where you're like, oh, everything just kind of clicks, you know? Right? At this point, everything makes sense. I'm pretty sure Korra also figures it out at this point. So she needs to go into the spirit world because her plan is that, hey, if she can't get to the South Pole, what if she just goes into the spirit world and closes the portal from inside there? So she goes and meets up with Tenzin, and this is our point where our two stories also right. This is where the two stories meet up as one. Also, during this time, Mako back in Republic City, I think this is when he gets arrested. Yeah, I think that, right, because he's trying to now prove that Varric is guilty, right? That Varric was the one who set off the explosives. And of course, the other two detectives are terrible, so they don't trust him. He's still a rookie cop. And eventually Varric's like, oh, you're on to me, so I'm just going to get rid of you. So he frames Mako and Mako gets arrested. Also, Mako's hooking up with Asami again because, oh, God. Like, I think they only share like a kiss. But, God damn. Like, we're not at the point where I was just like, oh, God, I fucking hate this show, but we'll get to it. But so Korra needs to get into the spirit world, and she's like, hey, Tenzin, you've studied spirits. You should be able to get into the spirit world. They try, they can't. But as was hinted earlier on, because like the Jinora, Tenzin's eldest daughter, has a connection with the spirits. For some reason, I remember it being the middle daughter for some reason, because there's that whole side plot during Civil War where the middle daughter runs away because Milo and Jinora are bullying her, Iki. And like, I thought there was like, for some reason, I remember it being Iki who was the one who could connect with spirits, because Iki doesn't really have that much going on. Again, we'll get to the fourth season because I don't remember a lot of the fourth season, but Iki really doesn't have that much going on. For some reason, I thought she was the one who connected with the spirits, but no, it's Jinora, and Tenzin figures that out and throws like a little fit because he's been trying so hard to get connected with the spirits, but it just doesn't work. But they find they see the spirits, and they go to a place where the spirits are like, hey, has high spiritual power. And Korra and Jinora are able to enter the spirit world. Okay, that's cool. Right, but I do, real quick, I do also like the stuff with Tenzin and Jinora about how hard Tenzin's tried to get into the spirit world, but he's never been able to do it. And while at first he's annoyed, eventually he just accepts that, no, it's my daughter who has to do it. I think it's a really good moment. Wow, I do like the stuff with Tenzin and Jinora in this moment, right? I think this episode slows the pace down a little bit, but I think I enjoy it. Yeah, maybe does it slow it down maybe a little too much? Like, could this have been like half an episode? Which, I mean, it kind of is, because again, you have the two plots, because there's a lot going on this season. But hey, this is where things are finally starting to converge. But Korra and Jinora go into the spirit world, and they get separated almost immediately. Okay. And Korra's going around, right? She hits a bird. She then helps the bird out, and she runs into Iroh. It's, like after Mako's death, right? The guy who played Iroh, right? Legendarily played the character. I mean, there's an entire tribute to him in the second season of the original show. I just would assume they wouldn't use Iroh again. Yes, he does some stuff in the third season, but not that much. So the first time I saw this, I was genuinely surprised that they brought him back. But he's here, and he's still given. I'm glad he's here. I do genuinely enjoy all the scenes that have to do with Iroh. He's still very insightful. It's really good. I really enjoy all the scenes that have to do with him. I'm glad they brought him back. This whole, they do a wedding in the spirit world, and Korra turns back into a little kid. I know it's to show that she's more vulnerable and whatnot. It kind of works. And there's this whole thing about how humans have more power in the spirit world because she's able to her emotions affect the spirits. The spirit world's very interesting. I feel like they do a lot with it in this season, but I also feel like they don't really do that much. I feel like there's so much potential here in the spirit world, and they kind of do it, but I also feel like they don't go far enough. It's in this weird gray area, but I do actually really like the stuff with Korra here. I don't think it's that bad, right? I like the stuff with Iroh. I like her having to go on a quest to return the bird, and then like she comes across like all these malicious spirits, but she's able to calm them down. It's really, again, Korra. A lot of people think that Korra, oh, she's just fighting and dating, right? Like that's all Korra is. She's an angsty teenage girl, but she does grow. She does grow, and this is one of the scenes. She learns her lesson, and I do definitely feel like after what happens here, she is more connected to the spirits than she was before. She's not a static character, which is, I feel like, a way a lot of fans treat her. Is she still a teenage girl who gets angry and has boy problems? Yes. Yes. But I don't think it's that bad. Jinora, meanwhile, goes and finds the library from that episode in the second season. I don't remember the owl's name, but I think that's really interesting, right? I think her coming across the library and finding out that the professor is like a skeleton is like that's interesting in and of itself. But Jinora is trying to find where the portal is because she thinks Korra might also be there. But the Wong Ton Chi, is that the owl's name, is actually working with Unalaq, which I think is just kind of dumb. Yes, I know Unalaq is more connected with the spirits, and that's kind of their explanation of why the spirits trust her. Like, I think Wong Tong Chi even says that, oh, Unalaq actually understands the spirits. He knows what's going on, right? I trust him, and I know, right, because Wong Tong Chi is kind of, he's not really a villain. He's more like not like a force of nature. He's an interesting character, right? Because he doesn't trust humans because humans take his knowledge and use it for evil. I get his motivation, but I don't get why he works with Unalaq. I don't think it makes that sense. It's not like annoying or anything. It's just kind of weird. But I guess they did it because they need a reason for Jinora to get captured. Because when Korra fixes the stuff with the bird, she goes and finds Jinora. And she goes and finds the portals. And hey, guess what? Unalaq's captured Jinora, and he's going to destroy her soul unless she opens the northern portal, which she does do. Korra also has a conversation with Vatu, and that's really interesting. Like, that's a nice little scene as well. I do like that before Unalaq shows up and forces her to open the portal because he can corrupt the spirits and make them dark spirits. Because the entire thing is a conspiracy theory against her, right? She learns, right, because all of these terrible things he's done. And yes, right, because she went in there, because before she goes into the spirit world, Tenzin's like, hey, protect, right? Janora's there to guide you, but also protect her. And I think her motivation for opening the southern portal, I follow through, right? Especially after what happens in the first season and how much time she spent with Tenzin and his family. That tracks for me. And after that she gets sent back to she escapes and gets sent back to the normal world. And Unalaq doesn't release Jinora because he's super villain. And right, you know what? Sure, I'll buy it, even though it is. God damn it, God damn it, I've been going for an hour now. But so they go back, and we cut back to what Bolin's doing in the president, and how he's been making these movers, and he's trying to like sway public opinion, and it's working, right? The public opinion has now swayed against Unalaq and in favor of the Southern Water Tribes. So they're doing like the season finale of Nuktuk at the pro bending arena. I like Bolin's subplot in this season. I think that all really works. Because, of course, Varric is the villain, Mako's out of the way, and Bolin's just, right, he's really uncertain about how things are going, right? His brother's in jail, the mover, while, yes, it's working, he feels like Team Avatar is kind of broken up. And yeah, I get that. I like Bolin. I really do. I think he's the most interesting character. Or he's the character I have the most fun with anyways. And I like his whole thing with Asami, like, oh, what are we going to do, right? Because he figures out that Varric, being the villain who's trying to ignite the war, his plan is to fake kidnap the president. And if he can kidnap the president, that will move people to action and they'll go to war with the South. But Bolin comes in and stops the kidnapping in a scene that I really enjoy. I mean, yes, Ginger comes in afterwards and is like, oh, we're dating all along, and romance stuff. But they're right, he's able to stop the kidnapping. They're able to prove that, hey, you know what? Varric actually did do it. He did plan to kidnap the president and start the war. I really enjoy all the stuff with Bolin. I enjoy that, right? Well, it's a very Captain America scene where, like, as stuff is going up like on the screen, like in the movie, he's reenacting it with like the Northern Water Tribe people below saving the president. It reminds me a lot of Captain America for obvious reasons, but I enjoy it. And because of that, he's able to get Mako out, right? They arrest Varric. He's able to get Mako out of prison. And hey, Team Avatar's back together, because I think this is when Korra shows back up, because they have to, now that, right, they've lost Jinora. So now she's like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just storm the Southern Portal. We'll take it out from there. I think, no, it's the Southern Portal. Also, Unalaq has a fight with, Tonrock? Korra's dad. And he gets his ass kicked, but I think I remember it being a pretty decent fight scene. God, it really has. When was the last Korra video out? I'm definitely missing some details in here, because a lot of shit goes down in this season. Because also, when Korra shows back up and meets Mako again, she's completely forgotten her argument. And Korra just goes, right, she completely forgot that Mako broke up with her. And even though Mako's now kind of with Asami, it's complicated. She goes up and kisses Mako because she forgot they broke up. And it was at this point, I was just like, fuck me, I hate this show. God damn it. This is the point where the romance stuff just like I was tolerating it. Like, okay, I was annoyed by it, but I was tolerating it. But it was at this point that the romance stuff, I was just like, no, this is too much. God damn it. Just let it end already. Like, fuck, how is this still going? Like, the Asami stuff, I mean, it's complicated, right? He gets thrown in jail. There's a brief moment where it's like, hey, did Mako set Asami up? Well, of course, we know it's no, because we know Varric did it. But it's just, God, I fucking hate Mako in this season. I really do, and I hate all this love triangle stuff. Fuck, it's so annoying, and it just goes on forever. Based on what I saw in the first season, I was like, you know, maybe this isn't that bad, right? It's a few episodes, mostly in like, is it episode like 4 or 6, where like a bulk of it happens. But I was like, nah, this isn't so bad. Like, it's kind of annoying, but they're teenagers, right? I'll cut them some slack. But after just episodes of bickering and love triangles, like, I can put up with a good love triangle, right? I do like me some love triangle if it's used right. I know some people will say, well, it's a love triangle, so it can never be used right. And I guess they've got a point, but I can enjoy a love triangle. But goddamn, the love triangle is just too much. It's annoying as hell, and this was the moment that broke me. But after that, and for the 3rd and 4th season, they don't fucking talk about it again. I mean, some shit happens with Bolin, and both in this season and the next season, but I like Bolin, so I'm willing to put up with it more. And it's more of like there's no triangles involved, thank God. But yeah, so Korra's like, you know what, screw it, I don't need, because the president, even after being attacked by Varric and Korra showing back up, he's like, nope, I'm not going to help you. We need to stay here and protect the city, which does fuck all. Like, literally his like actions of staying in the city does sweet FA, because fucking Christ, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the show by this point. We're getting close to the end. But so they're like, screw it, we'll just raid the South, right? We'll just raid the Southern Portal, and maybe Korra can close it before Harmonic Convergence. You know what? Sure, because all she has to do is close one of the portals. So we get Harmonic Convergence, right, where Korra raids the South, and they have like this big plan of like, hey, Asami's gonna fly in on her plane, and the rest are gonna fly in on Bisons. And it's okay. Like the entire fight scene's okay. It fails actually. That's good. I like when characters fail because it's always a learning moment. But it fails. They all get captured. They're Bolin and Korra are trying to convince Eska and Desna to betray their father, and they say they won't. Even in like the next episode after he becomes like super evil dark avatar, they do. I don't know, because what happens next is, well, I found it entertaining. Like, it was fun to watch. I also, it's fucking contrivance. It's fucking Deus Ex here, because they all get captured except for Boomy. And Boomy like goes to like sneak in and break them out because he thinks he can control spirits with music, which I think is actually kind of like I think it's not a bad idea. I also like that it fails. Like, he's able to control the one, but it doesn't work on all the others. But he goes into the camp and he like takes a robot mech suit, but gets attacked by, right? He like goes to hide in one, and through a comedy of errors, because Boomy is our fool character, he manages to basically destroy the entire base and break them out in the process. You know what? It's dumb. It's Deus Ex Machina. It was entertaining to watch. I don't know what to do with it. Is it bad? Maybe. Do I think Boomy's kind of funny? Yes. Should this come right before the climactic battle? Who fucking knows? I'm ready to get it over by this point. I'm ready to just be done with the show. This is 12 this season is 2 episodes longer than all the others. I think the others, no. I think season 1 was 12. Season 2 is 14. Season 3 is, I want to say, 13, and I don't remember how long season 4 is, because again, I only remember like 3 or 4 details about season 4. Yeah, I'm ready to be done by this point. So they go into the spirit world. Mako, Bolin, and Korra go in because Korra's trying to close the portal, and she's trying to get Mako and Bolin to stop Unalaq, just to stop him from getting back to the portal before Harmonic Convergence. There's a fight scene. Tenzin, Kaya, and Boomy go in to rescue Jinora, and it feels out of place. Like, you're having this big, like, all this big stuff is happening with Korra, and like fate of the world stuff is happening with Korra, and meanwhile Tenzin's on his own side quest to save his daughter. Like, I feel like it's just something maybe they should have gotten to earlier. Like, I feel like that's something they should have addressed already, not in like the second to last episode. Maybe some of this might even happen in the final episode, because god damn it, this goes on for so long. But Korra's unable to stop, right? She's unable to close the portals. Unalaq's, they push Unalaq back into the normal world, but he's eventually able to defeat, with the help of Desna and Eska, they're able to defeat Mako and Bolin and break back through, and he's able to absorb Rava and become the Dark Avatar. The idea of a Dark Avatar, I think, is really interesting. The idea, right, there's the spirit of light and dark, and Rava is the spirit of light. So the idea of another human taking the spirit of dark, I think, is super interesting. I feel like that has a lot of potential. And the show just doesn't live up to it. They don't do what I wanted to do with it. I feel like if they were to, let's say they do another season, Avatar after Korra, right? We get another season, a third Avatar show set sometime after Korra, right? Korra's dead, and now we've got the new Avatar, and let's say it takes place in like the 1980s. If they bring back if like the new villain is the Dark Avatar, and they like actually make them like interesting and complex, I would love that. I feel like this Dark Avatar has a lot of potential, and they just kind of squander it because Unalaq's a boring as hell villain. I would love to see that happen. I don't think it will ever. Maybe in like a comic or something, because I know they're doing Kyoshi's story in the comics, and that's really interesting, and I'm totally down for that. But here, who fucking cares about Unalaq? He fucking sucks. He's generic. He's not even, I mean, like, he's not even really that menacing. I just hate, like, there's nothing to him. There's nothing to Unalaq. And, well, the Dark Avatar is an interesting concept, as is Vatu, the Spirit of Darkness. Like, interesting concepts, but they just don't really do anything with it. Ah. Now let's go back to sadness. So let's just finish off Tenzin's plot. So he talks to Iroh for a bit, and because of his talk with Iroh, he figures out where Jinora is, and they go to the Pit of Lost Souls, right? Which is basically like a jail in the spirit world where it's just like a fog, and it drives you mad. And I like how actually they kind of fail at first, like Kaya and Bumi and Tenzin all get driven apart. I think that's really interesting. I love that they run into not General Tao, the general from the first season of the original show who kills the moon spirit. And then in that show, he's like, so right there's an interesting villain who's also kind of simple, but he's also kind of interesting, because at the end of the first season of the original show, Zuko offers his hand to save him, and he, in his stubbornness, he doesn't take it. And that sets a fucking statement. Unalaq doesn't have it. Like, Unalaq's kind of similar, but he never has a moment like that. He really doesn't. But yeah, the guy gets dragged away and he's dead, right? That's presumably what happens. But nope, right here, he shows up again, and he confuses Tenzin for Aang. And I don't know, I think it's kind of neat. I think it's neat. But eventually Tenzin, like, because the whole thing is that, Tenzin, right, he bears the legacy of his father on him. And at this point, he has to realize that, no, he's not Aang, but he can still be himself, blah, 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 spiritual discovery. Technically it fulfills his arc. If it wasn't for the fact that this is happening, like, in, like, the second to final episode, if this had happened, like, a little earlier on, I'd be like, yeah, no, totally. But by this point, I'm just exhausted with this show. I'm just exhausted. It's not bad. It's just meh. It's just meh. Because of his realization, I think he might even have, like, where he talks to, like, his father's spirit for, like, a second. Oh, God, we haven't even talked about that. Oh, fuck. But he's able to basically get rid of the fog for a moment. He saves his brother and sister, and he's able to save Jinora. But then Jinora's like, oh, I can't go with you, Dad. I have to help Korra. But don't worry, I'll be safe. And then she disappears. Fucking okay. I really don't get what's about to happen with Jinora. Like, this makes no sense. But Tenzin goes back and finds that they've been defeated. That they find Mako and Bolin. Or is this where that happens? Okay, I'm getting all my moments jumbled here, so bear with me. But from what I kind of remember happening, Mako and Bolin are captured. Bolin is able to talk to Eska and talk her down because he actually loves her. And it's like, oh, you're a really good actor, because he's able to talk her down. And he's like, yeah, good actor, even though, does he care for Eska? Was it an unhealthy relationship? Yes, also yes. It's complicated. It's a complicated scene. But they're able to escape. They go to help Korra, and Korra has because Unalaq's right, he's only a waterbender, but Korra's able to use, like, all the other types of bending. It's a decent enough scene, but then Unalaq busts out this big, like, uber god mode move, and he's able to pull Rava out of Korra. And he's able to kill the spirit of Rava, and in the process destroy the memories and, like, the lives of all the previous avatars. Fuck, I'm so fucking exhausted. God damn it, show. God damn it. Like, Korra losing her bending at the end of the season and then getting it back. You know what? Sure. You know what? I have a problem with it, but sure, it could have been worse. it could have been this. This is terrible. I don't like the fact that Korra loses her, like like if she loses the connection to all the previous avatars, and then right, because she's no longer connected to Rava, and she has to like find the solution to this problem on her own. Like if this is where, like, let's say, right, the season ended right here. Korra is defeated, Unalaq escapes. Not like, because after he kills Rava, he becomes like a giant Unalaq Vatu monster and runs away to Republic City and starts destroying it. Ooh, spooky giant. I made the joke about giant beam of light earlier. That's basically what Tarlok becomes. I mean, he doesn't become a giant beam of light, but he becomes Godzilla destroying Tokyo. Ooh, big scary monster. Also, he throws down the vines. I completely forgot that happens. For some reason, like I remember at the start of the third season, like watching it and being like, where'd all the vines come from? Like I completely forgot that happened. But yeah, this is where Unalaq throws all the vines down, Varric escapes from jail, blah blah blah. But if the show had just ended here, if the second season ends with Korra losing, right, she loses her connection to all the previous avatars, and Unalaq's able to escape and become the Dark Avatar, and he becomes like the big major bad for the rest of this, right, for the next season or two, right? He becomes our new Fire Lord. It wouldn't be perfect, but I don't think it would be that bad. I think if they wanted to like make the Dark Avatar the new like big bad villain, it has some flaws, but I could work with it. I could work with that. And Korra has to figure it out on her own. She doesn't have the help of all the previous avatars. She's on her own to work through it. Like maybe even let her keep all her bending. Like, because, right, like they say, the light always exists in the dark and vice versa. So if Korra's like the last avatar, she still has the powers, but she no longer has that connection. She doesn't know what to do. I think that would be that they're set up there for another season. But no, instead what happens, and this comes up in the later seasons, she loses her connection to all the previous avatars, and it's basically as if the avatar cycle has started over. I fucking hate this. Yes, Aang was a Deus Ex Machina, but the idea that Korra's starting over, yes, we will have other things in later seasons that are also super interesting. But the idea of it just the avatar, right? All the past lives just being lost and Korra being avatar number one again, I just don't like. Now, I don't take it as far as other people do. Other people will take this as saying that Korra is the most important avatar. That Korra, by what happens here, Korra becomes like the most important avatar to like ever matter or anything. I don't take it that far. I don't think the show is implying. Maybe something happens in the fourth season. I don't know. But from what happens in this season and what happens in the third season, I don't take it that way. I think Korra was just right. She just happened to be the avatar during Harmonic Convergence. It could have happened to Aang. It could have happened to Kyoshi. Or the other one I'm forgetting between Aang and Kyoshi. It could have happened to anyone. It just so happened to happen to Korra. I don't, at least from what I'm seeing here, I don't get the implication that Korra is the most important avatar. It's just circumstance. This was going to happen eventually. It just so happened to happen to Korra. Right? I don't take it as far as other people do, but I know other people take it a lot farther. But I'm still disappointed by this. It rubs me the wrong way. And I get, even though I don't see it that way, I do see where people are coming from, right? This idea that all the previous avatars, Aang doesn't, right? Even Aang, they don't matter. All that matters is Korra, right? Because she's start over. She's Avatar Zero. Because we like Aang, and the idea that his consciousness is destroyed forever is just kind of a spit in the face. I get where people are coming from with that. I don't think it, but I get it. I get it. let's just fucking wrap this shit up. So Korra's defeated. She's back in the Kaya and Tenzin drags her back into the spirit world. Tenzin gives a pretty decent speech about like what it means to be the Avatar, and right, he gives some wisdom to Korra, some inspiration. She meditates in the time tree and remembers everything that happens, everything from the first Avatar to now, because it's the tree of time and it's connected to all points throughout time. You know what? Sure, Korra then like connects back with her avatar, because again, I think the idea of her still like having all the bendings, like because the Avatar has been this thing for like 10,000 years, you know what, I'm fine with that. I think that all makes sense. But she becomes like a giant like spirit Korra, even though again the light spirit's destroyed, she still has its essence in her. So you know what, fuck it, by this point I'm just so defeated. You know what, I'll accept it. Korra becoming a giant like Korra spirit, but between her being in the tree of time and the whole thing with harmonic convergence. But she uses the harmonic convergence stream that like connects in the aurora borealis around the world. Yeah, that happened at some point. And goes to Republic City to go fight the Dark Unalaq Avatar thing, because her whole plan is that, hey, because the light always exists within the dark, she can find the light within Vatu, right? The dark Vatu, and pull it out of it and become the Avatar again. You know what? Sure. I actually don't think, like, genuinely, I don't think that's that bad. I can see where that's coming from. Right? But of course she gets her ass kicked because she's only part Avatar. And fucking Christ. Jinora shows up in like a ball of light or whatever. And how any of this works, like why Jinora is here. I get she has a connection to the spirits, but why Jinora shows up, why she's able to be like the spirit of light, why she's able to locate the light inside of the dark Avatar, and Korra is able to pull it out. Like why Jinora is here at all, I don't get it. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I don't know why Jinora is able to do this. I get she has a strong connection to the spirits. I get harmonic convergence is happening, which allows her to be closer to the spirits. But this just takes it one step too far. I really do think that, no, I would have been much more interesting if Korra actually pulled the light spirit out of him, right? If that's how she did it. But that's not what happens. Jinora has to come in and Deus Ex Machina it. But Korra is able to, right, with the light spirit back, she's now able to defeat Vatu, the Dark Avatar. And because, of course, he's in the Dark Avatar state, presumably, that means that, right, he's the one and only Dark Avatar. There will not be enough, because, right, if you die in the Avatar state, the Avatar cycle ends. So that means he's the one and only Dark Avatar state. And when Unalaq dies, that's it. He's the last Dark Avatar. Sure, fine. I'll take it, right? At least it's fucking done with Unalaq. Of course, in 10,000 years, will the Dark Spirit rise again through Rava and the normal Avatar? Yes. Right, because light always exists within the dark. And that's how I'm choosing to take this scene, right? That she defeats the Dark Spirit, Vati, whatever, but it will come back, right? It may take 10,000 years, but it will come back. And with that, she's able to use the power of harmonic convergence, and Rava and Korra fuse together, and the Avatar cycle has started anew. Again, I don't take it as bad as other people do, but I see where they're coming from. And then at the end, we end off with Korra and Tenzin talking, and Korra goes to seal up the portals and decides no, she's not going to do it. Maybe it's time that the human and spirits worlds live together. I actually kind of like that. This whole idea that, right, she's the new Avatar, but the Avatar is supposed to be the bridge between humans and spirits. But there's not really a bridge. Humans and spirits don't interact all that much. I mean, I think it happens, like once or twice in the original show? Not all that often. And you know what? I think the idea of her leaving the spirit portal open, it brings an entire new level to the show. I think it's a good idea. For future seasons, I think it's a genuine good idea, right? That has a lot of potential in it. And I do feel like the later, like seasons 3 especially, capitalize on it. Again, I'll get to season 4 when we get to that. But I feel like season 3, right, they do definitely capitalize on this. Unlike Korra losing her bending at the end of the first season, this, keeping the bridge between the worlds of spirit and man connected, they do definitely use. This is not wasted. All right, that's where the season ends. Maybe like, oh yeah, Korra has her conversation with Mako at some point about how they're broken up. Yeah, because it happens here because Korra gets her memory back from the Tree of Time, and they're over, and that's the fucking end of the love triangle. It'll never be mentioned again. I mean, yes, there's some awkward moments between Korra and Mako in season 2, but small potatoes. That's the end of the second season. Fuck, man. Just reciting everything. Like, honestly, reciting everything makes me, like, be like, oh god, this is the worst thing ever. Like, I do definitely feel like the way I described it made it way worse than it actually was. I don't think, yes, is it out of the 7 seasons of Avatar, is this the worst? Easily. Bar none. Compared to every other show in existence, is this the worst? Nah, I can definitely think of worse things. And again, and this is all on top of some of the character problems I talked about in season 1. Like, people who have a problem with Korra, if you had a problem with Korra in season 1, you're gonna fucking hate her in this season, right? You're gonna, right? If you had a problem with the love triangle, it's only worse here. I mean, like, it even broke me, and I didn't really have that much of I had a little problem with it, but not too bad. God damn, this second season is just exhausting, and I'm ready for it to be over. There is cool stuff in here, right? Interesting stuff does happen along the way. But it's just, God, so much is going on, and I'm just so tired. Are there good moments? Yes. Beginnings is good. I think even though it's very obvious early on Unalaq's a villain, I don't think it has the worst start. There are some good fight scenes. The fight scene once between Korra and Unalaq, once they've entered the ice, once they've gone back and he's become the Dark Avatar, when like he's spinning around on like a water tornado and Korra's using all the elements and almost defeats him for a moment. Not bad, because does she try to take away his bending? She might. I know she does something. But then, of course, he Deus Ex Machinas it, and because he uses the spirit of the Vatu to take out the spirit of Rava from Korra, and it's just, Unalaq's such a bad villain. But, the one thing that kept me going is that it does get better. Yes, the second season has problems. A lot of problems. Deal breaking for a lot of people. But you know what? The third season's so good. We'll talk about it sometime in the future. In the next episode of this, whatever the fuck show this is. But the third season is so good. Oh my god, yes, it dives here. Like it never like hits rock bottom, but it gets better. If you didn't like this, and if you gave up on the show in the second season, and I don't blame you, watch the third season. Some of the problems never get fixed. Specifically, Korra is always brash, right? Korra is always a teenage girl. But like, a lot of the problems I have here get fixed. The villains are more interesting. The love triangle stuff is just gone. I mean, yes, there's one or two moments, but it's not that bad. It's specifically with Bolin, who again I think is funny. I mean, he gets a little awkward, but it gets better. The third season gets so much better, to the point that it might even be on par with the original show. Like, the third season of Korra might be on par with the first 3 seasons of the original show. but we'll talk about that next time. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.